Hello and welcome back at this Infinite Link channel. Today we will do some practice about switch security configuration for all the three materials video that we had before. So the objectives in this practice will be to secure Unused port, to implement port security, to mitigate VLAN hopping attacks, DHCP attacks, ARP attacks, and spanning tree protocol attacks. And then at the last, what we will do is that we will verify the switch security configuration that we have done. And for that, we have our packet tracer here. And here will be even the activity. And as you can see, we have for the VLAN table, we have all the information about our network for switch 1, switch 2, which VLAN are configured because our network is particularly configured, and even the routing has been configured for this network. So after all our configuration will be done, the network will be fully operational. So as you can see from the VLAN table, we have the VLAN numbers for each of the switches, the name of these VLANs, which means that VLAN 10, 20, 99 are created, and we have either the ports that are for these VLANs, just listed here. And that's what we have to do. It has to create VLAN 199 and configure the ports as it is shown in the table. So the instructions are here. So we will follow each of those steps. For step 1 and step 2 will be in both of the switches. Okay? So at the step 1, we will create a secure trunk. So first thing, we have to connect both of two access layer switches, switch 1 and switch 2 together through the Giga 02 interface. And then all the trunk ports, which means ports that are connected to access layer switch and port Giga 01 with who both switches are connected with the multi-layer switch should be configured as a static trunk for both switches. And then we have to disable the dynamic trunking protocol negotiation on both sides of the link. The reason why we disable the dynamic trunking protocol negotiation is because the spoofing DTP messages from attacking host can cause the switch to enter in trunking mode. And if the switch enter in trunking mode, attackers then will send the traffic to the tagged with the target VLAN. And what the switch will do in this case, just will send the information to the destination. And that we have to create for a purpose, for a security reason, we have to create a native VLAN which will be different for VLAN 1. In this case, we have to create a VLAN 100, and the trunk ports will, for both switches, will go to use this VLAN as a native VLAN. So first thing, let's connect our switches together through Giga 0. Yeah. So after they are connected, it said that we have to configure static trunk. So we'll go through switch 1 and the same steps will be in the switch 2. So we'll go to the switch 1 and access mode, and then we will go to the global configuration mode. We will go to the interface Giga 0 slash 1, 2. So we will go to those interfaces here. Hmm. Let's go here. Interface with 0. Oh, sorry. The reason why there is I forgot the range because we are entering the range interface. It says giga 0, 1, 2. And after we go here, we will configure the static trans. Switch port mode trunk. Okay. And then we will disable dynamic tracking protocol negotiation. Switch port non negotiation. Okay, switch port non. Yes, we did switch port. The reason why we are getting this warning is because the other switch is not configured yet. Okay, and then say exit VLAN 100. This will be named as native, and then we will go again to the interfaces, and then we will say, to make sure that they use the VLAN 100, we will say switch port trunk native VLAN 100. Okay. Exit. Let's go to the switch 2. Okay. Enable access mode, config terminal in the global configuration mode. We will go to interface range giga 0, 1, 2, and here we will say switch port mode trunk. We are going to the static trunk, and then switch port non-negotiate. We are disabling dynamic trunking protocol negotiation. Again, exit here, VLAN 100, name native, exit. We will go again to the range of giga 0 and 2. And then we will say switch port trunk VLAN 100. Okay. See the port consistency restored. Both are configured. So we are done with the part 1. And let's go to the step 2. Secure unused port. It says shut down all unused switch port on switch 1. If we go and on switch 1 create a VLAN 99. We will do that in both switches because if you go to the table, you will see that in both we have to create the VLAN 99. Here at the port membership, we can understand which ports are used and which ports are unused. And as you can see, PortFast Ethernet 03 through 9, because 10 is used, and from 11 to 23 fast Ethernet ports are unused. So let's go first to the switch 1, and we say interface range faster than 0, 3 through 9, comma, first Ethernet 0, 11 through 23. So we are entering this range of interfaces, and we know that these interfaces should be shut down. Okay, because they are unused. But what else we will do? We can exit from here. We can create a VLAN, which will be called VLAN 99, VLAN number 999. This will be named as black Oh. Mm. Okay, exit, and then we will go again to the range of interfaces that we just shut it down, and then there will be switch port access. So we are not putting them in a node access, but they are just will be accessed in VLAN 999 access. Okay. Switch port. Sorry, I forgot the VLAN here. Okay. Access. Same here, but for fewer steps, what we do, let's create first a VLAN. So we can create from here, but we can say because if you create from here, automatically we create a VLAN. But let's go here for more understanding and create a VLAN 999. We name it as a black. Oh, exit, and then we will go to interface range here, same from 0, 3 to 9. Oh, sorry, I forgot the fast Ethernet here, comma, fast Ethernet 0, 11 to 23, and from those we will put them in the shut down, and okay, and then we will switch port access VLAN 999. Okay. So what we do, we shut it down all in use. The reason why we do that is because by shutting them administratively down, even another device will be connected through them, won't be able to access the network because they're administratively shut it down for security purpose. Okay. Now let's go here. So we did step 1, we did step 2. Now we are at the step 3. Okay. At the step 3, we will implement port security. The reason why we implement the port security is because we want to limit the number of valid MAC addresses allowed on a port. And by this, we can control unauthorized access to our network. When we activate the port, so here we have to activate port security on all the active ports on the switch 1, which means for port faster than 01, 02, 010, and 024. Stop. Okay. And then we will configure the active port to allow a maximum of 4 MAC addresses to be learned on the port. So by limiting the number of the MAC addresses, we are let it down that only 4 number of the maximum address will be 4. And if another one comes and there is no space more at the MAC address table because only 4 should be allowed, then the new one will be discarded. And then what we will do, we will go to PortFast Ethernet 01 on the switch 1, and then statically, which means because MAC addresses can be known and can be configured to be learned manually or dynamically. Manually, it means that the administrator configure the address that should be learned in that particular port, okay? And in this case, fast Ethernet 01 will be the MAC address of the PC that is connected in this interface. or dynamically learn. In this case, it will be auto detect the current source MAC address of the device that is connected and automatically will be added in our MAC address table. And if the configuration will be saved, this MAC address now, it is saved in the NV Okay, so, and then part D say configure each active port, so what it will automatically add the MAC addresses line, as we mentioned, manually and automatically. And then at the end, they say configure the port security violation mode to drop packets from MAC addresses that exceed the maximum generated to a syslog, but to not disable the port. Usually when we configure our network, so in this case, when we will implement the port security, we are making sure which kind of MAC address should be learned in a particular port. And if the MAC address that comes in this port may be different from the MAC address that is listed in the source MAC address table, then we say that a violation is happening in our network. And depending on the way that we have configured our ports in violation mode, the port will go in the shutdown, which will be shut down, which will send the port in error disabled mode, and the administrator then need to activate the port, or we have the restrict mode, which drop the packets that come from unsecure source. And in this case, that's what we will do. We will configure the violation as a restrict. So let's go through the step 3 and all the configurations that we need. So we go to the switch 1 and then we activate port security for all active access ports. So depending on the activity, we can see which are the ports that are active because they belong to this VLANs. Okay, so interface range, it was fastnet 0, 1. So it is fastnet 0, 2, fastnet 0, 10, and fastnet 0, 24. Okay, and in this range of interfaces, we will put them in a switch port node access. Okay, and then we configure the switch port security with the switch port security command, where it says that we have to configure to allow a maximum of MAC addresses as 4 to be learned on this port, as you remember. So switch port security maximum number 4. Okay. Oh, sorry. We don't need a number. Maximum is 4. Okay. And here, if you remember, it says that configure for PortFast SRWE statically configure the MAC address on the PC using the port security. So we will go to the PC that is connected with port. We go here, IP config /r, and here we have, let me write it down. Okay. Yep. Now we will go to the switch 1, exit from here, and we go to interface, fast Ethernet 0, 1, and here with switch port security, we are configured for security to manually configure the MAC address that will be learned from this port. So followed with the MAC address. MAC address, and the MAC address of the PC was 0010.11e8.3ceb. Okay, so we are manually configuring the MAC address, and then it said that configure each active port so that it will automatically add. So even there we have configured manually the MAC address, we are still using the range here, making sure that all the active interfaces should learn dynamically the MAC address, which means fast Ethernet will have this MAC address that we just configured and even another device MAC address. So here we will say Switchport port security MAC address sticky. Okay. And remember that the number of MAC address that was learned automatically would be 4, the maximum. Okay. And the last part, say configure the prosecutor violation mode. Okay. And as we said, the violation mode will be switch port security, and we said it will not go in the disabled. Violation should be restrict. Okay, so we are done even with the port security. Now let's go at the step number 4. We have 5 steps. Step number 4 says configure DHCP snooping. The reason why we configure the DHCP snooping is because we want to make sure that the DHCP messages are from administrated configured trusted port and not untrusted source. Okay? In this case, we share the ports in trusted and untrusted. Untrusted ports are ports that are access port, which means that are ports that are connected with end devices mostly. And trusted ports are ports that are connected with switches, with servers and routers. So let's say exit here. And let's go configure the trunk port on switch 1 as trust ports. And fast Ethernet 0 to 10 and 24 here. So the access ports are ports untrusted, as you said, and ports that are connected with switches, routers, and servers are trusted port. In this case, port Giga 01 and Giga 02 are trusted ports. So first it says configure the trunk ports on switch 1 as trusted. Okay, so we go to switch 1 and we go to the range of okay, interface giga, interface range giga 0, 1, 2. Okay. And here we want to make them as trusted. Okay. To make them DHCP trusted, we use the IP DHCP Snooping trust. Okay. Because I trusted port. And the next step says limit untrusted port on switch 1 to 5 DHCP packets per second. So untrusted ports are ports from fast Ethernet 01, 02, 010, 24. And here we will go in this range and we will limit the number of packets 5 per second. So we say exit here and we go to the range here, and from here we will say IP DHCP Snooping limit rate as 5. Okay. Meanwhile, it says on the switch 2, enable DHCP snooping globally and for VLAN 10, 20, and 99. Okay. So let's go to the switch 2. And it's this switch says, okay, it's been a while that we haven't worked here. So enable config terminal. So it says configure that manually by IP DHCP snoop DHCP IP DHCP snooping. We are configuring that globally. We are enabling that globally, and then with IP DHCP snooping VLAN 10, 20, and 99. We are enabling that even for these VLANs. Okay. Exit. Let's go to the active now and see. The last step is configure PortFast and bridge protocol data unit card. The PortFast and bridge protocol data unit card are another way how we can configure network, and with those two configuration, actually we are making sure that we are mitigating our network from spanning tree protocol attacks. With PortFast, with this configuration, we make sure that our access port go directly in forwarding state from blocking by bypassing the listening and learning state. And with the bridge protocol data unit card, we are making sure that our ports will go in error disable if received a bridge protocol data unit card, because you know that after our network is converged, a spanning tree is created, okay? And the spanning tree is used by the devices sharing their bridge protocol data unit, okay? And if a new device will be added from an attacker, it will make our network to recalculate the bridge protocol data unit, which means that it may force our network to create a new spanning tree. So, and by doing that by configuring the bridge protocol unit guard, we want to make sure that even if a new device is added to the network and gives the bridge protocol data unit messages to other devices with this feature, as soon as our network, in this case the port configured with that feature, takes a new bridge protocol data unit, automatically it will go in error disable. So it means it will go shut down and will not allow this device to be added to our network. So it said that enable PortFast on all access ports that are used in switch 1. So, we will go to switch 1. And we will enable PortFast. So let's see. So we will do this. So we will go in the interfaces that are in access mode or interface. So just remember that PortFast and bridge protocol data unit guard are both features for mitigating spanning tree protocol attacking that should be configured in end devices. So we will go to the interface range fast Ethernet 0, 1, 2, and fast Ethernet 0, 10, and fast Ethernet 0, 24. So we will go in this range of interfaces and we say spanning tree port fast. We are configuring the port fast. Okay. Port fast has been configured on this point. Will only have it. Okay. And then step 2 says that configure bridge protocol data unit guard on all these access ports. So we are staying in the same range that are in use on switch 1. So we go here and with the spanning tree bridge protocol data unit guard enable. So as you can see, we are enabling PortFast and bridge protocol data unit guard only in the access port on the switch 1. Exit. Actually, and let's do copy running config. No, start in a startup config. Okay, so let's go to switch 2, and for the switch 2 it says configure so that all access ports will use PortFast by default. When it says by default, it should be configured in the global terminal, and by saying spanning tree PortFast default, we are configuring that globally, that all access ports will use PortFast by default. Okay, and here copy running running config and startup config. Okay, now let's do some verification to see the configuration about port security. Let's see, switch 1 here and switch 2. So let's put those both switches like this. Okay. So show port port security. Okay. So we have configured the 01, 02, 10, and 24 with a maximum number of MAC addresses 4, and they are in a restricted violation mode. Okay. And if we want to see for a particular interface, fastnet 01, we can say show show for security interface fast 01. We haven't configured an aging maximum number, right? Total MAC address is 1, and we say that we have a configured MAC address. Is the MAC address that we configured manually. Because if we see the same configuration here, we want to have this same information. So show port security. Give information. Did we configure? Okay, let's say show running GPU. Did we configure? Yeah, configure that. Yes. And for yeah. Anyway, so, and if we want to see about the configuration about the DHCP, so IP DHCP Snooping. Okay. And as you can see, for class 01, 2, and 10, there will be 24, will be the rate limit as 5. Okay. And the other one are limited because they are manually shutting it down. Okay. And let's see if switch to show IP DHCP Snooping. Yeah, we configure that globally. And as for PortFast and which protocol that the unit guard, we have show spanning tree summary. Okay. So as you can see here, the Villa 99 will be only in forwarding and active. let's see here. So spanning tree summary. Yeah, some information. So this is all the practice about how to configure the security in our network. And see you to the next section. And if you like the video, share it with your friends. See you soon. And if you are new, please do not forget to subscribe at the Finetlink channel and like the video, share it with your friends, and hit the notification button for the new videos that will be uploaded. See you soon.